Alright, we're live and running. Good noon, good afternoon, good Monday, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another session of Chart Mastery, hosted by myself, George Saber. Sweet. Alright, YouTube's up too. I'm just waiting on YouTube before I really get going. I can see everybody's comments, well, lack of comments, but comment boxes are up. So yeah, we're gonna go over another chart mastery session, right? We're gonna go over BTC, Ether, Litecoin, S&P, QQQ. What's up, Tails? And from there, I'm gonna take some chart requests. We did see some pretty interesting price action over the weekend, right? We went from a Thursday real deep sell-off and post Thanksgiving, like I was at some Thanksgiving parties and market was tanking, and then I put out like two long signals, believe Saturday evening, right? And they're both doing pretty good. I'll go over those and why I picked those, and I'll go over some of the stock market plays, what I'm seeing. We did see a pullback. We did see a new COVID variant, forgot what it's called. The initial news was pretty bad and it kind of caused markets to sell off. But as you guys know, we're not really news traders, right? We really don't care about the news. We just look at charts. That being said, let's dive right in, right? Let's dive right in. Looking at like the BTC, I want to look at the weekly because I haven't really looked at the weekly in some time. And this is that same BTC chart with the same fib extensions that I've had covered for a long time, right? Like every time we look at BTC, every single one of these streams has started with this chart. And the reason I want to look at the weeklies, you know, we're seeing a doji. Now, I don't like being tricked by a single doji candle. I mean, we did see a dragonfly doji right here, and the market just came back down to revisit 30K, right? But that was kind of a little bit of a different correction. That was a lot bigger of a correction. It was also a 61.8 retracement of this this up move, right? Going from this previous swing low, we come down to this red line, the 61.8. I don't know if you guys can see, there's a lot of fibs here. Let me do that on like a different chart. Let's do BTC USD Bitstamp. All right, so from that breakout, that was also a 61.8 retracement. And one thing that's interesting, and I'll get to it shortly, I don't want to go off on a rant, right, is that we're seeing a 50% retracement right now. There's actually like two breakouts. I'd like to use this one more because we had like a strong trend line, several rejections. And if you go off the breakout retracement, right, it was a 61.8. Like that was that. And right now I have my levels highlighted, not my prices. Usually I do the opposite, but I did do a workshop. I did host a workshop, so it's over the weekend. So I did have my levels instead of my prices because I want everybody to get in tune with the level and not care about price. But since this is a stream, this can be a different setup. So that was 61.8, right? Now what we're seeing now is a 50% off this last swing low. And what we know about 50% retracements in a bull run, they can be pretty bullish, right? As long as it holds. And as of now, it's looking like there's quite a bit of support off that 50% line, right? Like that weekly push, that weekly close on last week's candle was really interesting. Now, that being said, I like to look at weekly charts to get an idea of like where we are, but not really an idea of like the next move, right? It's because I mean it could be tricky, just like that last doji. So get back on the daily, right? This pattern, we're still looking wedgy. I did say this looks like a descending broadening wedge last week, right? And it's still looking like a descending broadening wedge, right? Now, if I would like to see a close, what this retracement does, drawing this retracement from this last swing low to this last swing high, right? It gives us an idea of why exactly 57,916 is acting as resistance, right? So we'd want to see that close above, and if we don't and we start seeing another pullback, I would brace for 50,945, right? And I would long that. I did not signal a BTC long in this range, right? I tried once and we got stopped out, so I just left it alone. We did get some other longs that are performing really well, right? And I'll go over those shortly. But for now, most important for today is getting that close over 57,916. That's going to be the most critical level in terms of getting over that. And if you get a close above and we start getting a push, then I'd want to see the 61.8 of this move, which would be a move to 61,471, right? That would be a pretty good next possible pivot. What's up, Cooley? What's up, Tails on YouTube? You guys smash me that like button on the tube and smash that like button on TradingView. We're going to do a deep dive. And say hi to me. I'd like to know who all is watching. All right, so that about covers BTC for now. We got the next imminent levels, like what we want to see to get a move up to 61, and if we do get a breakdown, where we'd want to long it, right? I'm going to cover Litecoin next just because that's what I signaled, and I'm going to cover why I signaled it, and hopefully the chart is still present, right? So, like, my annotations on the chart is still present. Well, it's not. What do we know? So in my workshop, right, I did a Fibonacci retracement extensions workshop in person and plus a webinar on Saturday, right? And part of that was building schematics for charts, like Fib schematics, and how we're going to want to see previous support levels or like previous Fibs act as support. And ironically, you hop into the chat right after that workshop, or like at midnight after that workshop, I said, hey, I'm going to counter trade 182.50 or 182, and I placed bids at 182.50, right? And that was the long entry on the LTC, and we're seeing it act as support, right? So this is only going to remain as support as long as BTC can hold it together and not come back down and reach the 61.8 or test the 61.8. Then I'd expect another test lower, and I'd want to look for that re-entry some other point, right? But as of now, if you look at previous Litecoin runs, we do see retests of Fib levels, right? Like you see this one and we see it run, right? So looking at that retest here in real time on Saturday night, I figured we might as well place those bids, and now it stops at entry, so we really don't lose much, and that's still going up. Should be up. I don't know how leveraged you guys are, but if you're on 100x, you got in at 182, it's 11%, right? 10.8, that's pretty good. Where would be the next pivot? That's what's important. Like, where would we want to like short this or hedge a short on here? I think 212. I think 212 is a safe target, right? I didn't even put a target on this one. I said I'm going to counter it. But if we are doing something like we've done in the past, if we're getting ready for another run, right, like this retest would have been a pretty good entry. I mean, we see something like this here. We see a lot of these like down wicks and followed by explosive blow-offs, and hopefully it's an explosive blow-off. I'm not saying it is, but I'm gearing up for one just because it's crypto and it's volatile, and I like to trade the swings. Next up, let's look at Ether. Don't have anything other than like ETH, like being cold storage right now, and set up some of these extensions, see what's complying and what's not, right? And it looks like we could get a continuation run. Right, I had stayed out of like an Ether position because it was really frustrating where we'd get an up day followed by a down day followed by another down day, an up day, just very choppy, right? I like to stay out of chop. I like those one-click trades. And did we get a solid retest? That's the question right now. We did not. So I'm just gonna extend this up to the next high, and still not, right? So I think looks good. It looks compliant. Let me drop the extension of the previous range, right? Most recent range. Now we're seeing resistance at 43.99. It's above the smallest 61.8 that I can find, right? Which would be this swing high to this swing low. So ideally, we're gonna get continuation, at least to that 45.404, right? So if ETH gets that close above 45.04, and we're likely to see 55,000 and 5100, 5200, right? Those would be the next two targets on ETH that I would look out for. All right. I've covered BTC, I've covered Litecoin, I've covered ETH. I'd like to take a look at indices. Let's look at S&P and QQQ. And let's look at ES1, right, which is the S&P futures. And this morning's update was, hey, let's look for a 61.8 retracement and stay in our VIX until we get there, right? And we're getting close to it. The QQQ broke above. I think 46.63 is going to be the next 61.8. So if we get a breach and a close above, I'd probably want to come on, cancel. I'd probably want to get more VIX calls, right? Or maybe buy some ES puts or S&P puts at this level if you get rejection. But if you close above, right? If you close above, then I'm probably going to want to scale back on my short exposure. And we did get into these VIX calls like weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. I've been expecting a bit of a crash. And let's go back. Let's build a schematic on this, right? I haven't really labeled them as schematics on TradingView chat, right? But let's on TradingView streams before. So let's look at like a 3 week. I'll show you guys what I'm looking for, what I'm seeing on the S&P and why I decided to go short 2 weeks ago. Or at least be ready for a short 2 weeks ago, right? So the biggest range extension that we have is going to be this. You can only see this on SPX, right? If you go to SPY, you don't get this price action back here. You only get these two highs. And I'm just going to extend that all the way out. And we do get FIB compliance, right? Like quite a bit of FIB compliance. I'm gonna adjust that just a little more, just so and then I can extend the next range afterwards, and we'll get a better idea of what's happening. It gets pretty tricky when you're drawing ranges so far out in time, right? And so far ago, trying to get price action to match. Right, and then the next extension would be the 2007 high to the 09 crash, and I was looking for a retest of 46.28. It looks like we're getting it. All right, it looks like we're getting it. And another thing that I spotted on here is a bit of a fractal. Right, this was pre-COVID, right? This was 2018. This was 2018 high. This is 2018 Christmas crash, right? And then we had the run up to 1.618, and then we had a meltdown. And here we're seeing something a little similar. We see a 1.618 extension that resulted in a gap down sell-off. And because this was more news related, and I don't really like to trade news much, I'm not going to be very aggressive with the short, right? Because, I mean, for COVID to cause 2 flash meltdowns 2 years in a row, I just don't think it's a thing. I think it's it's seeming more bear trappy, right? It's just starting to see more of a bear trap if COVID was the sole reason we got that crash. So now that we have a big idea of like what's going on with the ES or the S&P, I did notice that Friday's close, right, on the ES was also a FIB minor, right? So it's at 45.77, and here we do have an extension level, like a minor extension level, and that's where we usually do see some turns. So it's not that this was unexpected, but I'd like to see what it does at 61.8 before going heavier on a short or completely pulling out of a short and then leveraging something like Apple calls, which I did highlight a play on Apple in Discord on Apple. I'm not going to give that play away on here because it wouldn't be fair to everybody in Discord. So I'm going to start compartmentalizing more of the data stuff in Discord and stuff on here. Looking at the NQ, that was the closest asset to, or closest futures to a 61.8, and we are above the minor, right? Didn't really get it on a long here. Didn't counter trade anything, but I think the next level to look out for is at 16,468. Alright, so I'm just gonna move this alert here, and hopefully this complies. Save. Alright, that worked. So ideally, I don't want to buy puts. I don't want to interact with the NQ until we get a move up here to 16,468. All right. Let's cover some tickers. You guys on TradingView, you guys on the tube, what tickers would you like me to cover? Show me some alts, show me some stocks, and I'll gladly go over what you guys want me to cover. We did see PayPal. I signaled PayPal last week. It got really, it could have stopped this out today, but I didn't quite pull the stop on it just yet. What I'm seeing is possibly a turn, right? And like some of the payment processors, this was a pretty big nosedive, right, on PayPal. And I got a couple of extensions to line up here. There's one, I think the other one was this range extension. Yeah, so just like what we saw on the ES, right, where that magenta line held up at 187. If you get that close above 187 today, I'd like to see it turn back around and retest the 200 range, and those calls would do pretty good. All right, you're looking for Super USDT on the Binance chart, so I'll cover that. All right, so something like this. We'll take this swing high, right? Come down to here. We could see $3, right? Going down, going lower. This one's tricky, right? I mean, if the market, this one's tricky because I don't have a lot of data back here on this previous range, right? It was just like a 3-bear drive, right? Where it was not even a 3-bear drive because I'm going to be pointed up, but it was just like a 3 drive and then a breakdown. But right now, just trying to test this. It's FIP compliant, right? But until it closes above the smallest set of 61.8, right? Until we get a close above 1.972, where I wouldn't expect it to run up, right? Also depends what other cryptos are doing. But if you get this close above 1.97, I start looking for like the next 61.8, which would be 2.3, and the following one would be 3.0. And until we get above $3 and hold above $3, I wouldn't expect a really massive run up. I want to look at Link USD because we did get a top on Link. Didn't quite, we signaled the short on Link up here on the bearish 61.8 retracement. And same day that I did that on Litecoin, right? They both rang them at the same time. And now we're seeing 22.7886 hold on this range. So this is going to be interesting. I wonder what we missed on Link, or what I missed, because I didn't really get back into a long after signaling that short. And yeah, we could have longed that 23, right? Just like what we did on Litecoin. We could have longed 23.05. I'll take the blame on that for not signaling that big extension and this one. Like, there's two overlapping fibs. But we'll see what the market does, right? We can always buy other pullbacks. We don't have to we don't have to catch the knife on every asset. We did that on Litecoin, and then we did something similar on Luna. And Luna's doing pretty good. I believe it's almost at target too. Not yet. But we got no Luna on this wedge, right? And target 2's at $59, and we got in at like 43. So, I'd like to see $59-$60 out of Luna. All right, you guys, give me some tickers. I know some of y'all went shopping on like coin shopping and on that Thanksgiving dip. I want to see what you guys bought, and maybe I'll follow you into some trades. Maybe I'll short some of those. Nice. We're getting some pretty good runs out of cryptos right now, right? Like Litecoin just popped another leg up. So I believe, this correction could have we could have bottomed. Let's see what happens at the 61.8. Right, I did say that's the T1 of this trade, which is 211. So hoping we get up there and go ahead and add that alert. Guys, TradingView chat is awfully quiet right now. Nobody wants me to get their tickers. So I'm gonna look behind me one more time, try to pull tickers off my monitors, and if that's it, we'll just wrap up the stream, and I'll catch you guys on Wednesday. Everything's pushing. Awesome. All right. Well, I'm good and wrap up the stream. If you guys want the recording of the workshop that I hosted on Saturday, drop into Discord and type me a message in Discord, right? And we'll find a way to get it to you. That's if you had tickets. If you don't have tickets, you're gonna have to wait until we figure out a way to offer it to non-ticket holders. Other than that, I'll be in Discord for the rest of the day, and I'll be back on stream on Wednesday at the same time. So, I'll catch you guys then. Until then, you can hop into Discord and share your charts with us. Thank you, Cooley.